Exorcist manga are dying, but I have such a soft spot for them. Which is weird to say because I think a lot of the Exorcist manga are very much identical. There's very little major differences between them, but I am a simple person and I can enjoy simple things. Cool character with sword or cool character beat up evil spirit with fist. That's cool. And sometimes that's all I need, but I don't need it for every story. I would like a bit of originality or something else that is within the Exorcist manga. Nothing really sparked this idea for me. I was kind of just looking around different places to read stuff, just looking at new stories in general, and I came across just like a bunch of Exorcist manga. You know, some new ones, some back-end ones, some longer running ones, and they're all virtually the same thing, or they virtually do the same thing with, again, differences, but none of them really stood out. None of them really tried to do anything massive. And I've always wondered why, you know? Maybe it's just because the bubble has bursted. Exorcist manga are not really in at the moment, so you're kind of getting all the last remnants of these stories, and some might be hitters and some might be, you know, pretty average. That would cover narratively, right? But stylistically, they're all kind of similar as well. They never really depart all too far from, you know, what an Exorcist manga is. And I'm fine with characters, you know, wielding sword or punching with fist or aura farming or just looking cool. That's fine. That will take you far. Can't be your only thing. You're going to have to pivot eventually, but it's a good place to start. But all the spirits and things that they're fighting are very, very similar. And going back to that bubble bursting, I wonder if it's just the meta currently. We're riding off of the success of Kaizen's ending, which was building off of the success of Demon Slayer. So the bubble was there and had been for quite some time, but there was a lot of stories that took place and even ended or got cancelled that probably deserved better. They were Exorcist manga. Arguably some of them could have been pretty good, but maybe just the timing was off. And I'm trying to sit here and think, like, from a business perspective, right? If I were in the shoes of, you know, a Jump editor or a Jump executive, how do they view Exorcist manga? Or how do they view trends in general for manga? Like, oh, people are really liking Exorcist, let's pump out 4 or 5 different stories that are all the same thing or kind of close and see which one sticks. Like, surely that's not the metric, right? But it definitely feels like that. Like, oh, here's, you know, 3, 4 Exorcist manga and weekly Shonen Jump, see which ones survive. And then they're kind of surprised that none of them do, because not only are they all similar, but they're all kind of generic. And I hate that perhaps they take that back to the authors and they're like, yeah, cut out all of the originality, stop trying to do too much flair and flavor and just do Exorcist manga. I don't know if they do that, but I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. There is a conforming nature, at least within Weekly Shonen Jump as a magazine, to obviously write a certain type of way. You'll see it with how they publish new stories and kind of what they're trying to center around. Currently, Exorcist manga is dead in the water, at least for Weekly Shonen Jump, because it's not really popular of a thing right now. It kind of ended with Kaizen. That was like the biggest thing that was propping it up. And every Exorcist manga that's still in there are kind of struggling. So I imagine as an executive, they look at those other stories and they're like, Kaizen was really successful, but these other stories not really doing the numbers that we want. Let's try and pivot. But then you see stories like Ichi and Kagurabachi, not Exorcist manga, and like, okay, people just want interesting stories. Like, yeah, people always want interesting stories, you know what I mean? Like, I think the standout things for both Ichi and Kagurabachi is not only are the author and artists phenomenal for each of their which they know exactly what they plan to do, plus they bring something very original, both narratively and artistically, but it's just entertainment. It's got a quality behind it that feels refreshing to read. Kagurabachi has kind of spun this revenge tale into something more deeper and methodical and taking those action elements to something more cinematic akin to John Wick, having a lot of inspiration and a lot of beautiful panel work. Like, these stories are fascinating to engage with in both simplistically, you know, just generally as a normal reader, or you can take it super deep. You can explore all of these characters and all of the thematic presence behind them, and it's really, really fun to do. Like, it wants you to engage with the story that way artistically, and I think that's a very, very powerful thing to have. It's what keeps people reading and keeps people chewing on the bone. That would be the best of both worlds. Currently, I don't think there's really any Exorcist manga that do that. which is a bit of a shame because I think there's so much potential within the Exorcist battle genre that you can just do so many new things that haven't been done before, but it feels limited every single time. Like every story, at least within Weekly Shonen Jump or even Manga Plus, kind of do the exact same thing. And I'm sitting here kind of waiting, like surely there will be an author or surely there will be an editor or CEO or whatever and just be like, look, do an Exorcist manga, but just do it different. People are waiting for an evolution of some kind. A bit of flair, a bit of pizzazz. You know? And maybe it might be a little bit early to say, but I feel like we're turning that corner. Like we're kind of going over the hill to see what could be the potential of Exorcist manga opening up into a whole new horizon. Is it going to take place in Weekly Shonen Jump? I don't think so. I think they're done with it. I think they've moved on to sports manga and more original oriented stuff just to fill out their magazine more successfully. They have a couple of Exorcists, they have a couple of romance, a couple of gag manga, and now they need a couple of sports manga, which is what they're doing. We're hitting that meta. Not a bad thing. I'm just interested to see where they go. Hopefully they don't try to be Blue Lock, because I think that style of sports storytelling, while fun and very energetic, only works well within a very niche circumstance. I don't think you can have general normal football with people saying that they're going to kill each other on the battlefield and have some analogy or thematic artistic flair to represent that. It feels very, very silly. The corner that we're turning for Exorcist manga will most likely take place on Manga Plus, and I shill this place so often. I read a lot of stories on here. Not once have I taken money, not once have I ever been approached, but I enjoy this site because it's very universal. Like it has a ton of different stories, a ton that you can read for free, a ton that you can pay for at a very low cost that gives you access to a lot of chapters and a lot of full stories, which is really good, but also accessibility. There's a lot of languages that you can read in. Now it's just turning into an ad read. I don't know why I've done this, but look, I shill this place. I glaze it because it just is very easy and accessible. They constantly update stories all the time. Bunch of new stuff coming in there, bunch of newcomers coming in there, and some of their Exorcist manga pretty fascinating because they're slowly, very, very slowly, kind of trying to appeal to a more broader audience. There's a very new Exorcist manga in there that I think is already inspired by Kagurabachi. It's called Bloodwing Hunter. Very generic name. If you read it, artistically, it seems very fresh and green. It's not all too much well put together like that. However, the way they try to orientate their main character, the way they kind of deal with that anger and that emotion is very much Kagurabachi. And I mean directly. Kagurabachi. Not a copycat, not like a riff on it, but like very much inspired. You can see that they're trying to artistically play into that anger revenge story with making their main character very edgy. And this isn't just like a Kagurabachi only thing. This has been around for years. Having edgy manga is normal. Having edgy characters, Aura Farm, is normal. Correlated to Kagurabachi because it's currently the biggest representative for that, one of the most successful, but it also has a peculiar style to it. It's not just making it edgy or aura farming for the sake of it, but it does do it within a bubble really, really well, purposefully designed. It has a kind of philosophy behind it. So when you see other authors try and do it, it's like, okay, this isn't just aura farming or edginess. This is kind of more Kagurabachi leaning. That's what I think Bloodwing Hunter is doing. I think it's doing it well. Surprisingly, yes. Like it's taking Exorcist manga and then just adding the more edgy, leaning, orientated stuff that Kagurabachi does. And it's compelling, it's fun. Now that won't last a long time. That gives you maybe a bit of early boost, early reception. Maybe it was trying to go for that at the beginning, the same way Kagurabachi did, but it's not the worst thing. Obviously it falls back on those laurels of, okay, it's just an Exorcist manga, it's not doing anything all too creative as of yet. It's pretty standard, but it does have an angle to go from now, and it's evolving a little bit. Am I excited to see where that goes? Of course. I'm very interested, and if you are too, you can check it out. Read along with me. Maybe I'll put it in a recommendation video soon. However, there is another Exorcist manga. It is on Manga Plus. However, it is on the other side, the other spectrum of what Bloodwing Hunter is doing. The Nido Exorcist operates a little bit differently. It feels more Bleach inspired, which is weird to say. And you might be like, what do you mean by that? Like it's more shonified, it's more playful. No, it feels more symbolic, more thematically heavy, more emotionally heavy. It feels really introspective, like it's trying to explore a very philosophical idea with the balance of human nature and these spiritual beings, which sounds very exaggerated and over the top, like what? To me, this story reads a lot older. I wouldn't give the Nido Exorcist to a younger audience, younger teens or children, not just because it's very brutal, because it is, but I guess the interpretation of the characters and how they act, their emotions, not only feels more mature, but more philosophical with their exploration. Like they're trying to create this symbolic beauty and this kind of struggle between killing these demons and creatures and figuring out this personal revenge while figuring out a bit of romance and feelings between it. It's not outright given to you. Naturally, a lot of shonen stories, because they're dedicated to younger audience, will spell it out. Like, hey, this is what's going on. This is how this person feels. That's fine. A lot of stories do that. Nothing wrong. This one's like, we're not going to hold your hand all too much. Just however you interpret it, that's kind of what it can be. And then we'll have this beautiful kind of visual aesthetic behind it that's more open and airy and pretty. This might sound like I'm hyping up the Nido Exorcist to be the best thing ever, but at the end of the day, it's still an Exorcist manga. It still falls on those same tropes, the same simplicity of it, but it is cusping around that corner. It is going over that hill a little bit. This feels just a little bit different, and I actually kind of like it. I don't know why. I don't know how much longevity it has within it, but I enjoy it. I'm a simple man. I enjoy Bloodwing Hunter as well, even if it does feel like Kagurabachi, because I enjoy Kagurabachi. So these two stories aren't revolutionary. Hell, they might not even be the exception. For a lot of you, they might still just be more Exorcist garbage, more Exorcist dribble. But that's up to you to decide. There is a lot of other Exorcist stories in here that do things a bit differently. Like this one, for example. It's been around for a while, actually, pre-Exorcist Burst. And it's actually doing pretty well. More romantic fueled, but still very heavily action, very rooted with what it wants to do. I haven't read it in a long time, but I might get back to it. I've heard great things. There's other ones that I just do not fly with. This story here, no, I can't. I don't know. There's something about this story that just does not click with me personally. I think it's just very, I don't know. I can't with that one, I'm sorry. Exorcist manga are dying. They're very much dead in the water, but that may be the start of a bit of an evolution. Maybe a bit of difference might come from this. Maybe some new Exorcist stories will come out and try and challenge the dead perspective. Do I think they need to? Not necessarily. I wouldn't be mad if Exorcist manga took a break for a while, allowed it to cool off like it naturally does. If something gets overdone or overused, they usually pocket it for a year, maybe 2, maybe 3, and they come back swinging again. Exorcist manga will always have its place. It's never going to disappear. It's never going to completely crash and burn and be buried within its death. It will return. I think a lot of us are just a little bit burnt on it currently, and with so much incredible other options out there that are refreshing or unique or trying to do something a little bit different, reading an Exorcist manga is never really your priority. It's not really the main food on your plate. It's like a little off-serving, like a carrot or a broccoli. This is only a limited perspective of Exorcist manga. I haven't read every single one to ever exist. I haven't read every single new one to exist. So of course, somewhere out there's going to be better, more frivolous, more exciting Exorcist manga that are not as accessible or just, a little bit more difficult to find nowadays. I accept that fate. And I'm sure a lot of you will be like, oh, well, this manga is really good as well. Honestly, if you enjoy these manga, that's perfectly fine. If anything, I want you to enjoy these Exorcist manga. I hope you can enjoy these Exorcist manga. If you can get something out of them, even if you find them pretty much standard or average, that's perfectly fine. Not every story's got to be this grand revolutionary thing. I just think the general, sphere or bubble of Exorcist manga is very much bursted and pretty much dead, for now, at least, until another Jujutsu Kaisen comes along or a Demon Slayer comes along, you know what I mean? Someone to really spark the interest once again. So I would like to hear your favorite Exorcist manga though currently, if you're reading any, or are you still sticking with Kaisen being like the best of the best currently? Let me know your thoughts.